Hey everyone, today we're going to take a look at two-step equations. This is a continuation from the one-step equations we've already done. So let's take a look here. You know what I like to do with every problem, read it out loud. So we're asked to solve for x. I have 7 plus 4 times x equals 19. My term with the x, this 4x here is positive. That's good. So I don't need to change all my signs. So the first thing we're going to do is put that line through the equal sign to separate our two sides. Then we're solving for x. So why don't we box out the term with the x? You see how I bring the sign along with it. So that's the last thing we do. Anything outside of this box has to go. We got to move it to the other side of the equation. So I've got a lonely old 7 sitting here. It's a positive 7. There's no sign, so it's understood to be positive. So how do I get rid of a positive 7? By subtracting 7. And you know, whatever we do to one side of our equation, we have to do to the other. There we go. So we got to stay balanced. So here, a positive 7 and a negative 7 cancel out. And we can bring down this positive 4x. I'm going to bring down my equal sign. And then 19 take away 7 is 12. Am I done with this problem? If I go back up and look at the directions, it says solve for x. What do we have? We have 4 times x equals 12. I don't want 4 times x. I want x. Because they are multiplying, we're going to divide. And whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other because we want to stay what? Balanced, yes. These cancel to 1 equals 12 divided by 4 is 3. And that's our answer. If you want to go back up and check it, all we have to do is replace x with 3. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I've got 7 plus 4 times x. 4 times 3 is 12. 7 plus 12 is 19. It checks. Our answer is correct. So anytime you get done with a problem and you want to make sure you got it right, just put your answer back in for x and you can see if it works. All right, let's do another one. So here, again, what are we doing? We're solving for x. So the first thing I want to do is read the problem. 2 times x minus 9 equals 3. The x term, the 2x here is positive, so I don't need to go and change any signs. But I do want to draw my line through to separate the two sides of the equation. Now, I like to box out the term with the x. Remember, your terms are separated by plus or minus signs. So the 2x is a term and the negative 9 here is a term. I'm going to box out the 2x because the x is what we're solving for, and that's what we always do last. So there's our box. Now, anything outside of that box, we have to move it to the other side of the equation. And to do that, again, we use the opposite sign. It's a minus 9, so we're going to add 9. And whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. We got to stay balanced. All right, so now on the left side, a negative 9 and a positive 9 cancel. So we just got to bring down this 2x. I'll bring down my equal sign. 9 plus 3 is 12. Am I done with this problem? Do I have x equals? No, I do not. I have 2 times x equals. So I got to get rid of that 2. Since in the problem they're multiplying, we're going to divide. And whatever we do to one side, we're going to do to the other. And by doing that, on the left side, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and we're left with x. 12 divided by 2 is 6, so x equals 6. If you want to check your answer, you can take that 6, come up here and put it in for x. Remember, this is 2 times x. So 2 times 6 is 12. Minus 9 sure is 3. It checks. So that is the correct answer. How are we doing, everybody? Please, if you have questions, just put them in the comments and I'll take a look at them and see what I can do to help you. All right, let's go on to another problem. Look at this one. Let's go ahead and start our normal way by reading the problem. So if I read this, I have negative 1/3 x equals 9. The x is negative. So what am I going to do? I'm going to change my sign. So I'm going to make that a positive 1/3 x. And I'm going to make the 9 negative. So I changed this sign, and this was positive, so I made it negative. By changing those two signs, it doesn't change the equation. Now I have another little trick for you here. If you've watched my videos on tips, this would be very helpful to you. When you have something on the side of the equation, see how I have this 1/3 times x? You can take this x and put it on the top. So I can write 1/3 x as 1x over 3 or just x over 3 equals negative 9. Now look, what do we have here? We've got a fraction equal to, why don't we make the other side a fraction? So now I got a fraction equal to a fraction by putting a 1 underneath here. All right. And again, what is that called? A proportion. Whenever you have a fraction equal to a fraction. And how do we solve proportions? By cross multiplying. So I'm going to take x times 1, which is x, and put down your equal sign. And then I'm going to take a positive 3 times a negative 9. A positive times a negative is a negative. 9 times 3 is 27. And that's our answer. Check. Now, if we want to put that back in, if we want to take that negative 27 and put it back into the original equation, you could put it into any of the equations. It doesn't matter. It'll work in any of them. So first of all, we've got a negative 27. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So that's a good sign. And then 1/3 times 27, well, 1/3 is the same thing as dividing by 3. So timesing by 1/3 is the same thing as dividing by 3. So timesing by 1/3 is the same thing as dividing by 3. So 27 divided by 3 is 9, and our problem checks. If you want more help on understanding how you can put the variable on the top, I do have a video on that also. So take a look at my tips and you'll see it in there. Now, let's move on. We got one more problem I want to look at. So let's take a look at the last one here. Take a look here. This one is already a fraction equal to a fraction. And what did we say that's called? A proportion. And how do we solve proportions? By cross multiplying. I'm going to take x times 3, which is 3x. Proper math, you always put the number in front of the letter. Bring down your equal sign. And then we got to multiply the other two. 9 times 4 is 36. Now, am I done with this? Have I solved for x? Do I have x equals? No, I've got 3 times x equals. I don't want 3 times x equals, I want x. So they're timesing, so we're going to divide. And whatever we do to one side of the equation, we're going to do to the other. So 3 divided by 3 is just 1. So that leaves us with x. And 36 divided by 3 is 12. And that's our answer. If you want to go up here and put 12 in for x, 12 times 3 is 36. And 9 times 4 is 36. So you have 36 equal 36. So it works. How are we doing, everyone? Please leave comments if you have any. And if you are learning something here, I would appreciate if you subscribe. I'm always here to help. Have a wonderful day. We're moving on to more advanced problems now.